Hello, my name is Jason Tooby, and I oversee our research on emerging Europe, the Middle East and Africa. It's Friday the 12th of November, and this is your week in review. And it's been a week where yet again inflation has dominated the headlines, as data showed a surge in producer price inflation in China and a leap in US CPI. As in many other economies, we think China's current inflation spike will fade. Fed Chair Jerome Powell has remained insistent that inflation in the US is transitory, but growing signs that cyclical price pressures are building support our view that actually inflation will prove persistent. Whatever action the Fed does take in the face of high inflation, it will pale in comparison to what's happening across much of the emerging world. Central banks in Mexico, Romania and Peru all hiked interest rates this week, and stronger than expected inflation readings out of Brazil, Czechia and Hungary mean that further tightening lies in store there. In a note on our Emerging Europe service this week, Liam Peach explained how aggressive rate hikes there will sap economic growth. Moving away from inflation, a number of EMs are contending with fragile debt positions. This was the focus in South Africa this week, where the government refrained from watering down its austerity plans in the wake of its poor performance in last week's local elections. But there are still plenty of risks that could throw those plans off course. Whereas we think South Africa's debt problem is a slow-burning one, we argued in a piece on our Africa service this week that a combination of a worsening internal conflict as well as a poor external position means that the risk of a disorderly default is growing in Ethiopia. One country accustomed to default, of course, is Argentina, which will hold midterm elections this coming Sunday. In that regard, I'll point you in the direction of a piece written by our Argentina expert, Nikhil Sangani, in which he argued that the heavy defeat for the ruling coalition would raise the threat of a shift towards populist policies that fuel macro imbalances and increase default risks. Beyond the near-term focus of inflation, interest rates and debt, we're continuing to assess the long-term threats to the global economy. One key theme has been the economic implications of climate change, where we've argued that the greening of the global economy needn't be a zero-sum game. It's an idea captured by David Ox's new analysis of how Norway could transition from a reliance on oil and gas production. As the COP26 summit wraps up in Glasgow, look out for more analysis around the economics of climate change. That's all I've got time for, I'm afraid, but as always, all of our research can be found on our website. Just leaves me to say thank you for listening and have a great weekend.